Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching In the Game here on News Central Television. It's now time to give you our AFCON Express updates. And joining me now all the way from Johannesburg in South Africa is the sports editor of Sunday Times. He's also a columnist. He's also a podcaster. Bareng Batho Kortyas. Thank you so much for joining us as together we look ahead to what promises to be a great game between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Bafana of South Africa.
Most definitely. Thank you very much for hosting me. The day has finally arrived. It is always a big date when us from the southern tip of the continent in this country called South Africa meet up with our brothers from West Africa, Nigeria. It's Bafana versus the Super Eagles. As you can see, I am ready. I'm kitted. I am ready to go. I am ready for action. I am ready to give all the positive energy together with 60 million plus South Africans and transport it all the way to Ivory Coast. I know you're going to boast to me and say, I have to double our population to equal yours. But what a fantastic day it is. It can never be any better than South Africa, the one time only champion of AFCON against those who call themselves the Super Eagles, who want to fly to their fourth title of this prestigious African competition.
Okay, Bareng. Let me just start by asking you that. I mean, we all know it's a big game, and the encounters between both teams are always very testy. 14 times they've faced each other. Nigeria have won 7 times. South Africa have won twice. There have been 5 draws. But why are encounters between both teams such close affairs?
Well, I think context is important, and there's a bit of history in the context as well. When you look at the political side, for an example, you will know that this country of ours comes from a very dark and painful past of colonialism and apartheid, 48 years of apartheid, which meant that in the waging of the struggle against apartheid, a lot of our freedom fighters and a lot of our leaders were either incarcerated at Robben Island, and some found their way to go to exile. And Nigeria was one of the countries that opened its arms to welcome, or her arms rather, to welcome our people, part of the people of South Africa who actually went on to become the leadership of the country. And also when you look back to when we were just after democracy during Nelson Mandela's era, President Nelson Mandela had a thing to say about human rights, and there was a lot that was happening in Nigeria because of General Sani Abacha. That tension, led to South Africa hosting the AFCON in 1996 after we were awarded the right to host when Kenya pulled out because they were not ready. And guess what? The champions of Africa who had won it in 1994, beating Zambia 2-1 in the final, were Nigeria. We played the tournament without Nigeria, and Nigeria has always felt that that was not a championship because the champions were not there, and they refused to give us our credit as the champions. And so it happened also that we met in 2000 during the first AFCON that was co-hosted by Ghana and Nigeria. Siyabonga Nomvetse scoring the only goal in the quarterfinal against Ghana, and then we went to Lagos at the Surulere Stadium. I was there. I can see these images. They don't bring back happy memories for me. I see Thabo Mngomeni there on the ball. I don't like what Babangida did to South Africa. Mark Fish backtracking. It ended in pain for us. It ended at 2-1, having moving from the gold on home soil and the silver we got in Burkina Faso as the losing finalists, and then this time ending up with the bronze to Nigeria. So that spice has always been there. And also Nigeria going to pounce like a peacock, if I can put it like that, to say we came back, okay, and we go win it there in South Africa, in Johannesburg, with the big boss man, Stephen Keshi, Lord bless his soul, and leading Nigeria, having done it when he was playing for the team as the great central defender, this time around in 2013 as the coach of Nigeria. So that spice, that tension has always been there. One funny bit, my brother, that happened was that when we were there in 2000, or maybe even earlier in the exchanges when Bafana was still called 4x4s, in an encounter between the Super Eagles and Bafana in Nigeria, one of the players of Nigeria, so one of our strikers, the late Bennett Massing, and they said to the people who were around earshot, who is this one? And the other one said he's a player. He said, "They're no go player here. This guy looks like the son of a coach." So there's also that spice, We like arm wrestling and we like doing it on the pitch too.
I understand, Barry. All of us are looking forward to this one. But let's talk about the Bafana now. I mean, nobody gave them a chance to get this far in the competition, just like the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But against all odds, they're in the semi-finals, they have the chance to get to the final and possibly win the Africa Cup of Nations. In your opinion, what has been responsible for this upsurge in fortune at the tournament?
I like the fact that you're putting us on the same scale before arriving, in Ivory Coast. You guys didn't believe in the green and white. Many, many millions of people in South Africa also did not have faith that Bafana were going to be able to do something memorable. Lo and behold, they have been able to do so. Looking at our team, when you look at when Hugo Bruce was appointed as coach of the team way back in 2001, he came at a time when we were in the doldrums. He came at a time when several European coaches and maybe even South American had been hired. I remember there was a Carlos Queiroz here. There was a Carlos Alberto Pereira here as well. They were not able to take Bafana to greater heights, which their CVs would have suggested. And then Hugo Bruce said, "I'm going to find myself time to build a team," because he's famous for quoting that there was no team when I started here. And he started putting faith in the young guns. And that project went and attained what one may term 65-70% in the World Cup qualifiers that we were participating in at the time. Bafana fell at almost the last hurdle because of that diabolical referee, which happened when we were playing your neighbors, Ghana, with a penalty that never was. I don't care who says what. Even a blind man saw that was not a penalty, but we were knocked out. And that started bringing back a little bit of faith into Bafana. Hugo Bruce rolled up his sleeves, started to work, and he said to us, the media here, "If we don't qualify for AFCON in Ivory Coast, you can kill me." We are not in the business of doing that as the media. We just reflect what happens. And then we qualified. After attaining qualification, Bruce also said, "If we don't get out of the group stages, you can kill me." We got up of the group stages after a horrific start against Mali, the 2-0. But if you understand football and if you watch the game in its totality, Bafana, the results did not agree with them. But in the manner in which they acquitted themselves, in the manner in which they played, the play was positive. But unfortunately, there is no column in the results column which talks about playing well. It's all about the points.
Very true.
So we had to bounce back. We had to bounce back against Namibia. It was a COSAFA affair. Neighbors, Southern Africa. Teams mainly built up of players playing in the DStv Premiership here in South Africa. A lot of Namibians were there. Their main star.
Sorry to cut you short. I'm just going to ask you a question regarding that. I mean, you talk about players, a lot of them playing in the PSL, and that's probably the greatest strength of this side. I mean, 9 of this squad actually played with the multiple champions, former African champions, Mamelodi Sundowns. Can this be regarded as one of the reasons, or maybe the main reason why this team is playing so well?
It is a strength. If you are negative, you will say, yeah, they play in South Africa and that league, it doesn't compare to European leagues and all of that. But it's the strength because of what you exactly have mentioned. This is a team that has won the CAF Champions League, which is not an easy competition to win. I don't recall when last the Nigerian team was in the final, by the way. But in any case, we're looking at a Sundowns team that has got fluidity, that has had some kind of continuity with Pitso Mosimane leaving the club, going to Al Ahly. Rulani Mukwene was one of his assistants, along with Umangoba Mngqithi, who took over as co-coaches with Mngqithi having the final say. And now with Rulani being the main man in charge, you've seen how they've competed in the Champions League, going all the way of winning all the games in the group stages and falling in the quarterfinals. You've seen in how they manfully won the Africa Football League in its maiden season, and all that experience with that grafting, with that traveling in Africa, with playing in different conditions, with playing against different styles, particularly North African teams, has given them tremendous experience that cannot be bought anywhere else. So when you're going to take that and transpose that to the national team, Bruce called up a total of 10 players from Sundowns. At any given stage, you have 7, if not 9 players in the starting 11. And that gives you continuity, it gives you cohesion, it gives you harmony. And if you allow me, I'll say you can go back to the time in 2008 when Luis Aragonés was coach of Spain, and look at the team of the national team of Spain. It was built on the back of Barcelona. They won the Euro in 2008. They went on to come to South Africa and win their first ever World Cup Cup on South African soil, and they also defended the Euros. So that was 12 years of aristocracy of Spanish football built on the back of Barcelona. So it's a formula that has worked elsewhere, and so far it is working like a charm for us, and we are ready, we are preparing, we are looking at the clock, we are counting down to Nigeria. Bring Osimhen here, we want him. Bring Lookman here, we want him.
Correct. I see you're very passionate about today's game, and so am I, despite what you might think. But look, still talking about Hugo Broos and the fact that you said if he didn't qualify for the tournament, you people could kill it, journalists could kill him. If they didn't qualify from the group, they could kill him. But I'm sure there's not going to be any killing anymore now, considering the fact that he has probably exceeded his mandate. Win or lose today, would you say his job is safe?
I would say that only a madman, only a lunatic would want Hugo Broos to step away from the job now, because this is just part of the battle, of the African battle with going to the bigger war, which is the World Cup. We've already started the World Cup qualifiers. We were top of the group before we slipped against Rwanda, and we still are very much in with a big chance to go through. You are also our opponents in that group as well. Considering that Bafana are going to play in the semi-finals for the first time, my brother, for the first time since 2000, that is a massive, massive milestone. And looking at how he has been able to put together this team, how he's been able to be an honest man and say, I made a mistake by thinking that Tembazwane was too old for the team. Look at what Tembazwane is doing for Bafana now. And looking at what Mutau is doing on the right leg, when Hugo previously had insisted on playing Hugo Mobi. You're looking at a man here who is the oldest coach in the tournament, a man who played at the World Cup way back in 1986 for Belgium when it was in Mexico. You're looking at a coach who's been able to do things, major things in this very tournament in 2017 with Cameroon, and there are similarities in the manner that this team is looking back at what Cameroon did. About 10 superstars playing in European leagues for Cameroon back then turned down the collapse. Hugo Broos did not sit in the corner and sulk. He put together a squad that was able to go step by step, game by game, growing in belief until we know what Abubakar did in the final, scoring that goal. And even in Brazil, my brother, they know about Abubakar. Ask what he did to them at the 22 World Cup in Russia. I mean, yes, it was in Qatar. So when you look at the totality of everything else, Hugo Broos has done a sterling job with this, against all odds, with very few people having belief in the project. But I am amazed by the goodwill that the country is now showing to Bafana. Yes, it is the semi-final. Do not jinx it. Do not say if it does not win. We are winning tonight. We are paying you guys our dues. We are going to have a fantastic game. You guys are coming with a host of players who are playing in all these best leagues in Europe. Can I tell you a secret? We played Morocco. We played Morocco in the quarterfinals. There are players coming from where? Where are they now, my friend?
But I mean, you're just I don't know what to say. I'm enjoying your conversation. You're definitely passionate about the Bafana today. But trust me, Jose Peseiro and the Super Eagles will have plenty to say about that. But let's leave that aside and let's talk about something a bit not too savory. Well, there has been talk here in Nigeria. There's not been confirmation about an official release by the Nigeria High Commission, but there has been talk that there might be some disturbance in South Africa if the results does not go the way of the Bafana today. Is there any credence to that story that there might possibly be some disturbances?
You will know as well as I do, and I think like every South African and every Nigerian and every African who watches football, that these two teams have played against each other in Nigeria and in South Africa, and results have gone either way. And I don't remember at any given time being a moment where there's been violence just because of a soccer match. I think we need to err on the side of caution. We live in a time of fake news. We live in a time of social media where everyone and anybody can just go up and post something when they know very well that they are sucking it out of their thumb. I think in December, we had a funny story here which came out of your neighbors again, Ghana, a website that is unknown that claimed that our former president, Thabo Mbeki, had died, which is something that if you Google, you find that the same website keeps on coming with that kind of story every December. So I'm thinking that we need to be very careful about this. We are playing a game of football. And I think Nigeria also will know that football is so powerful that even in the times of conflicts in your country, my brother, you have found a situation where football has been the source to bring people together. Ivory Coast, where the AFCON is being played right now, you would remember that there was a lot of strife in Sylvie War and all of that. The guys like Didier Drogba and the Kolo brothers, Yaya and Kolo, the Torre brothers, and everybody else who was there said, we are going to use this team to be an embodiment of no tribalism, of all of us coming together as one nation because we are all Ivorian. I think that we need to lean on the strength of football in being able to bring us all together. And as far as I'm concerned, that is just fake news.
I totally agree with you, Barenga. In fact, our correspondent in Johannesburg, Bongani Siziwe, she's told us that there is actually going to be a viewing party where South Africans and Nigerians will watch the match together in a convivial and harmonious atmosphere. So I totally believe, I don't believe one word of that story, that there might be some conflict. But finally, Bongani, I know, I beg your pardon, finally, Barenga, I have to put you on the spot. We've had a wonderful conversation, and you've been very, very passionate about your support for Bafana. But can Bafana win today and go on to claim a second Africa Cup of Nations title? Very quickly.
I want Bafana to win today. Bafana going to beat Nigeria today. I don't want it to go to penalties. I am saying to you, bring all of them. Bring Lookman, bring Osimhen. Let us play a game of football. I am actually excited about the fact that the refereeing has been spot on in this tournament. There's been no controversy. VAR is showing those people in the English Premier League on how the Africans are showing the way in how it is being used. Good luck, Bafana. Tough luck, Nigeria. If we don't win, this is a major step for us to go from Egypt 2019, where we made it by being one of the best third place to go to this last 16. This time around, we were second. This time around, we beat Tunisia. This time around, we beat Morocco. We are worth our place in this final, and we shall be triumphant.
Okay, Barek Batho Korjas, the sports editor of Sunday Times.
What do you say?
I honestly believe that the Super Eagles will defeat the Bafana today. It'll be a slim win, probably 2-1, but there will be only one team in that encounter in the final, and that will be Nigeria. That's my belief.
If you win, I give you a soft drink. If I win, you buy me whiskey.
Okay. Noted, my friend. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with the very passionate, very vocal Sunday Times sports editor of Sunday Times, Barek Batho Korjas, all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. Thank you so much for your time, Barek.